you have been a Triber since 2017, I believe. Is that right?
I think 2016, right?
You were an OG.
When did it launch?
I
was an OG.
Oh, nice,
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah.
Okay, so
I was there right at the start.
I was a little foggy when, but now I remember you launched your membership in 2017.
That's right. Yes.
Got it. Okay.
Yep.
Now let's give everybody some context, because I mentioned as I was about bringing you on that you are not the expert in your membership. So let's talk about that. But before we do, who is it the market that you serve?
So the specific membership you're talking about is called the Nonprofit Leadership Lab. And so it's what it sounds like. It serves leaders of nonprofits, and specifically smaller nonprofits who are really short on cash, let's just say. They're really struggling typically with donations. Every dollar that they get in, they don't want to spend it on something like, leadership development training, things like that. They want to spend it on their mission specifically. And so that's definitely one of the challenges we have.
So you help the nonprofit space, but how did you get into this? Because you're not the expert that is supporting them. So how did this all kind of come to be?
Right. So I started with a couple partners at digital agency all the way back in the Stone Ages of 1999. And our work had always been this, it was project based, right? So it was always very boom or bust. We'd go through periods where we were intensely busy, money was coming in, we were doing great. And then other periods where things were very slow and we didn't even know if we could make payroll, and really stressful, right? So this constant up and down and up and down, and you just felt like you're on this treadmill, never get off this treadmill. So fast forward to, I think it was late 2012, one of our clients at the time, we had a new client named Joan Gary, who remains one of the leading experts for nonprofit consultants. She is a nonprofit consultant for nonprofit leaders in the whole world. She had been an executive director herself of a significant nonprofit, and she had started this consulting firm, and she was looking for help in growing her platform. And so that's what we had been hired to do, and we were helping her build that. And we'd gotten her to a point by 2016 where she was starting to feel a little burnt out, right? She was getting a little overwhelmed. Her business had boomed. She was bringing in more business than she could handle. But more to the point, one of the things we had done together was built out a blog and a podcast, and she was getting all these questions from leaders who would say, I can't afford you, but here's this desperate problem I have. Can you just give me any advice at all? And this was happening like 10 times a day at this point. I mean, it was happening all the time. And so I had this idea, and I came to her and I thought, what if we developed I don't know if I called it a membership site at the time, but a site where we could bring all of these people who are at smaller nonprofits and can't afford you into a single space, and we can serve them there. And I think that, and we keep it like super affordable. And by doing that, I thought this idea had so much potential, and I saw how for us, it was a way out potentially of this boom or bust cycle that we've been on for years. And so I went to her and suggested that we build a business together, which she would get, her focus would be on serving and teaching and being the expert. And my focus would be on growing into what I do, which is, grow a digital property and build it out and figure out how to market it. And so we started working on it together, and then shortly thereafter came upon you, Stu, and Tribe, and but that's how it got started.
And so I love this too, because oftentimes we will hear the question, yeah, but I'm not the expert, and so how can I make this work? You're a perfect example of this. There are a couple of options for people who are not experts. One of them is to partner with an expert. And this is something that you have done not once, but multiple times. And I think that this is a really important point for people, is that like when you stay in your lane, and you have stayed in your lane, and that you have helped these experts, they focus on the teaching and the serving, you focus on growing the business side of it. There's this beautiful relationship that can happen where you can grow a very significant business. And this is exactly what's happened for you, in that your first launch, like let's kind of go back to that. This was the 2017, and tell people what your goal was, and then what actually happened.
Yeah, so our goal, we were launching, we had no idea. We had a list we had built up of maybe over the course of years, we built it up to about 20,000. So it was not insignificant, but we had no idea what to expect. And we were just were like, if we could get to 300 people, we would be pretty excited by that. If we hit 500, we'd be just out of our minds. It'd be crazy. I mean, we just never expected. 500 would be like insane. We never expect to get to that point. So we launched on May 17th, 2006. I'm sorry, in 17. And in a 1-week launch, following exactly what we learned to do in Tribe, we brought in almost 1,000 members in 1 week, which was just mind-blowing and life-changing, frankly.
I remember your post in the community when that happened. It was so fun to watch, because you were giving multiple updates as we were going through, and it was so fun to see. But now what's happened, and this is, I think, a really important point, that was the beginning. And over the last few years, you've continued to grow that. And I think that that's important for people to hear, in that this isn't something that was like a one-hit wonder. This has continued to grow year over year. We talk about the compounding asset, and that's exactly what's proven out for you. Can you kind of speak to that a little bit?
Yeah, so we're about to hit our 3-year anniversary in just another week or two. And we've done launches roughly every 6 months or so. We just did a 1-day flash sale in the middle of this whole pandemic, and certainly the nonprofit space in particular. I mean, a lot of markets have been really decimated by this, and the nonprofit space is certainly not an exception. So we went into that having no idea. The best 1-day sale we've ever done had about 150 members come in. We had 220 members sign up last week in 1 day, and that was just to our wait list. But we've grown this thing now, and we've had over 5,000 people join. And now people leave, right? They don't all stay, but our retention rate has been consistently over 95, close to 96%. And even during this last period, these last couple months, it's been staying there. It hasn't gone down at all. And that's just all about people come in and they're part of a community, and they learn so much from each other. And the idea of, things have gotten really tight, so I'm going to leave to try to save a few bucks each month. But okay, some people do, a few people do, but most people look at it as, I need this group, this community now more than ever. Mm-hmm. This is the time where this community is going to have the most value for me to help me figure out how to get through this. And we were worried. We didn't know how this would go. But so far it's kind of been amazing. People have just stayed. And we've had, like I said, this over 95% retention rate since we started.
It's amazing, dude. And, it's been so fun to watch you, and to also to see how for you, this has become a model, where, a replicatable model where, you're not the expert, but you certainly have developed the expertise around growing the membership side of the business. And so now it's this replicatable model where, if there are other, experts that you do want to partner with, that's an option. And I love seeing how you've been able to take that knowledge that you have gained through this and that have been able to replicate it in other areas. And so it's incredibly exciting to see you continue to grow and flourish. Final thoughts for anybody who is thinking about Tribe and launching their membership.
Well, I think the big thing is the two things I would say are, one is exactly what we've been talking about, which is if the idea of the membership business model makes perfect sense to you, and the thing you keep thinking about is, but what the heck am I going to teach? I don't feel like anyone would ever want what I have, or I don't know how to put it together. You don't have to be the one doing that. You can be the one taking Tribe, learning what you need to do, and then partnering with somebody who wants to focus on being the expert, but doesn't want to do the marketing and doesn't want to build the thing and doesn't want to come up with the strategy. They don't want to do the business end of it. And, so that's pretty much what I've done with Joan Gary, who's like this super expert in what she does. Hi, Callie.
Yeah.
And
Kelly the dog.
right. So that's number one, is don't think you can't move forward with this just because you don't want to be, and it might just be that, but it also might be you don't want to be the front person. Maybe you just feel so uncomfortable with the idea of being in like on Facebook Live or something like this. Obviously, that's not my problem, but I know that that's a big hang up for some people, right? Just putting yourself out there, and you don't want to be that front person. You don't have to be, right? So that's number one. And then the second is, if your big concern is, I'm in a market that would never buy, they would never join a membership. Like that's just, I mean, you have example after example after example of the craziest markets where memberships totally flourished. I would not have necessarily thought, we thought we'd have some success. We had no idea it would grow to be thousands and thousands of members. And you can absolutely do this even in a tough market. So
thank you so much, buddy. I appreciate you. Yeah. It's just an incredible story, and I'm grateful for your time.